People with food allergy or intolerance. Have you ever been tricked by a friend or family member to see if you were lying about your condition? What happened? Story 1. My brother is allergic to tree nuts. My aunt thought he was lying because he'd eat things with peanuts in them. Several times she brought foods with nuts in them to the Christmas get-togethers. It never bothered my brother much, he just didn't eat them. This irritated her. So one time, she made this big plate of chocolate chip cookies. My brother ate about 6 of them. About 20 minutes later, he's hacking and coughing. EpiPen, Benadryl, and a trip to the hospital later, my aunt finally told us that she'd used almond flour because she knew he was making it up. My dad chewed her out, told her to stay out of our house, and didn't talk to her for years. When my grandma was on the brink of death, she asked my dad to forgive her and get along. He gave it a try for a few years, but she is a piece of work. She would always say my dad was divorced when he was actually a widower. She'd make comments on how my siblings and I could have a chance with a proper upbringing. We're all successful, her kids aren't. I told her to get away from me at the family reunion a couple of years ago. She wouldn't quit badgering me about having kids. I'd recently miscarried a baby and lost my ability to have children. She didn't get it though. I quit talking to her whole family, although they do try to contact me for money or to sell lame yoga pants occasionally. My dad didn't invite them to Christmas this year, so hopefully we're done with them. Well, that aunt sounds really nutty. I mean, using almond flour just to prove a point? Talk about taking it to the next level of nuttiness. Story 2. My sister-in-law is very allergic to shellfish. Her mom passed away years ago, and her dad was dating and living with a woman he had known for some time. This woman knew about her allergy and was fully aware of how serious it was. So one time, my sister-in-law and my brother were visiting her dad's place, and this lady made dinner. I believe it was a casserole of some sort. They were eating, and then my sister-in-law started going red, and her eyes bugged out as she realized her throat was closing up. She said, "Is there shellfish in this?" The lady snickers and says, "Oh yeah, I cut up some shrimp and threw it in as well." My sister-in-law's eyes bugged out, and she went for her medication. Not sure if she used an EpiPen or something else, but this was a number of years ago. The entire time, this lady was wondering what the fuss was about. It's just a little shrimp. No big deal. I've met that woman a few times, and she is a vapid airhead with no understanding of anything. A few years back, my sister-in-law's sister had a boyfriend pass away in a car accident. This lady called and asked if she could come up right away. My sister-in-law's sister said, "No, I just want to be alone right now. I'm too upset to see anyone." So what did the witch do? She grabbed her friend and her adult daughter, and the three rushed up an hour's drive to my sister-in-law's sister to be with her, which means that my sister-in-law's sister had to now entertain 3 people while she was trying to keep her act together. This woman is just the worst. Story 3. My mother does this constantly. I stopped accepting food from her a long time ago because she would either purposely add my allergens to the food or use utensils covered in my allergens to stir otherwise uncontaminated food. She just refuses to believe that her child could have a life-threatening allergy. I don't have the kind of food allergies that just make your stomach upset. If I come in contact with any fermented or mold-based food, I will literally have my throat close and my nail beds turn blue as I stop breathing. I have been hospitalized for this. Everyone who knows me knows this and tries to avoid bringing me into contact with problem foods, except for my mother. The worst example of this behavior happened when I was moving. My mom came over to help me move, and I brought over what looked like French fries covered in ranch. She picked one up and brought it to my face, as if she was going to feed it to me. Mind you, I am 22 years old at this point in my life. The smell alone clued me in that this was blue cheese, so I jerked back and said, "No, I'm not eating that," and removed myself from the situation because I knew I would start screaming at her if I didn't. But my friend, let's call him Dave, was flabbergasted. Everyone knows not to bring this around me, and my mom just strolled in and tried to feed it to me? For a visual, Dave is a large, 6'6" black man. He crossed his arms, looked at my mom, and said, "Dog, you know that stuff will end her." She stammered out some, "Oh, I forgot," and made a hasty retreat to pretend to be helping somewhere. Ever since that incident, she's stopped trying to pull this in front of him or anyone else who will call her out on it and has moved on to accidentally cross-contaminating things. But she still brings up how mean Dave is for cussing at her when she just wanted to bring some food over. Story 4. I have a couple of different major allergies. Two of them are odd. As a result, most people think I'm just pulling their leg. I have an allergy to cocoa, aka chocolate, and the tobacco plant. My mom's side of the family are brutal people. They fed me chocolate-laced breakfast foods and candies without my knowledge. But since I was so small when they discovered my allergy, I hadn't enough chocolate to know what it tasted like besides pain. I just knew my mouth would tingle, my throat would feel tight, and that I would throw up not soon afterward. My mom figured out these growing up fits would happen only around her family, so she asked them to stop. They didn't. So one day, my aunt gave me a full-sized hunk of pure dark chocolate. I went into a full reaction, and I still remember her freaking out when I dropped and started changing colors, and they started calling an ambulance. No, I don't remember the ride, and apparently my oxygen went down so much by the time the ambulance got there that I would have suffocated. I was stomach pumped and traced and left in the ICU for a couple of days because my lungs couldn't handle it, and breathing was a nightmare. She was arrested for attempted manslaughter, but the court settled with no jail time as long as she paid off my medical bills, since we didn't have insurance at the time. She paid for it, but she was definitely not happy about it. As a result, she doesn't have anything on her record and can still be in contact with children. I, however, still have a restraining order against her to this day. Luckily, my state has lax laws on that sort of thing, so it never really expired due to me still having the allergy. It was one of the few times I seriously loved living in my state. At first, the police were skeptical, but she openly admitted to feeding me chocolate over a small span of time to disprove my allergy. So the officer in charge of filing warped it around to be attempted manslaughter. Haha! I send that officer a card at least once a year with a gift card for a meal for being so thorough. That is one heck of a twisted case of I told you so. Attempted manslaughter? Over chocolate? Sounds like next-level stubbornness to me. Story 5. I have a strange allergy that most people don't believe. I'm allergic to mint or menthol. Anything that is supposed to give you that nice cooling sensation just feels like burning fire and makes me swell and itch. No anaphylaxis, but just really uncomfortable. It's in toothpaste, face washes, deodorant, candy, hair products. I had a friend, and as young teens do, she decided to wash my hair and give me a sleepover spa day sort of thing. We washed each other's hair in the kitchen sink, cucumber on eyes, candles going. She has heard me many times say I was allergic, so I decided to trust her. But without telling me, she decides to use her mom's fancy peppermint shampoo, thinking it wouldn't be bad. Suddenly, a relaxing spa day turned into a Michael Jackson Pepsi commercial. Next thing I know, I'm writhing around while I'm screaming at her. What did you do? What's in this? She kept telling me that it was good stuff and her mom uses it all the time. Mom's never had a problem. The remainder of the spa day was spent with my head running under cold water until Benadryl kicked in. I also get adverse reactions to Benadryl, so instead of getting sleepy, I get hyped. The rest of that sleepover was me sitting like a 16-year-old on the big C, trying to watch a movie by pacing back and forth behind the couch, patting my thighs to the beat of everything that was happening in the movie. Not a fun sleepover. Story 6. I have alpha-gal allergy. I got bitten by a tick at Fort Dix, New Jersey in 2014. I made homemade beef tacos the night before having my first anaphylaxis. At that time, doctors didn't know what I was allergic to, so they did a blood test on everything. It came back negative on the red meat skin test, but highly positive for alpha-gal allergy. My Asian mom doesn't believe in allergies, so she doesn't believe me. I was already having a hard time with it, knowing I would never be able to eat nice medium rare steak ever again. My mom made stew with pork in it, but surprisingly, I didn't have a reaction. A reaction for me can occur between 4 to 12 hours after ingestion. I thought I was cleared and was no longer allergic. No, I did not consult the doctor because this allergy is still in its researching and testing phase. Turns out, 4 to 6 months later, after returning to my normal diet with red meat, I had the quickest and most dangerous reaction. My body went straight into anaphylaxis in 4 hours. Since then, I've carefully monitored and stayed away from red meats, but I will occasionally take a small, teeny piece of pork because I like the taste. I haven't had a reaction from the small pieces, so I have continued to eat small pieces from time to test my body's limitations. Yes, I know I'm risking my life, but I've got a couple of expired $600 EpiPens, and with my luck, no reaction. Yet. Story 7. My best friend at the time didn't believe anyone could be allergic to cedar. It made my eyes itch and burn, then swell shut. She thought I was probably just being dramatic because I didn't like the smell or something. I was spending the night at her place, and she brought me some blankets. As soon as I wrapped up in them, I realized something was wrong. They reeked of cedar. Her mother kept them in a cedar chest, and she thought it would be no big deal. She quickly changed her tune and then apologized profusely. Once my eyes started to swell shut, and I had to call my folks to come take me to the ER in the middle of the night. Some folks are just allergic to admitting they're wrong. If that best friend wasn't so stubborn, that girl could have avoided an ER trip and kept their friendship intact. If you've enjoyed this allergy adventure, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more tales of unexpected reactions and wild remedies. Story 8. I have something called oral allergy syndrome, or pollen food syndrome, so I have minor allergic reactions to many food as a result of one of my many pollen allergies, cross-reactivity. People don't believe me when I say I'm allergic to most raw fruits and veggies. Saying it's an intolerance type thing immediately makes people skeptics for some reason. To avoid an hour and a half of itchy tongue, mouth, and throat, I usually scratch my arm with my fingernails, then take the celery or parsley or whatever and rub it on my arm to show the immediate hives. It's actually quite enjoyable because I can see people immediately switch from "he just doesn't like veggies" to "oh crap, I'm sorry." I'm nearly 30 years old. If I didn't like veggies, I would tell you I don't like them, or just choose not to eat them. I don't need some made-up allergy as an excuse. Story 9. My mom didn't believe my little brother when he told her that he developed an allergy to bell peppers. That's right. She made a salad and added diced green bell peppers into it so that he couldn't see the tiny green cubes. Within minutes, his throat swelled and he developed hives all over his face and neck. My mom told him to stop being dramatic as he was coughing and gasping for air. I grabbed my epinephrine auto-injector from my bag and injected him as he began to faint, while my mom screamed at us for being ungrateful brats who refused to appreciate the food she cooked for us. We are both no contact now. I was 30 and my brother was 24 when this happened. We were visiting my mom together to try to re-establish a relationship with her again after several years of no contact. I have an epinephrine auto-injector and a slew of other first aid supplies, a mask for CPR, etc. in my purse at all times because I used to be a paramedic, and I also have similar allergies to my brother, strawberries, melon, though not bell peppers. Story 10. I'm allergic to limes. Other citrus don't bother me, just limes. I'm a bartender, so things suck sometimes, but I'm usually okay. My allergy developed after I started bartending. At first, it was just a mild skin allergy, but I could still drink it. Then it started getting worse. I'm at a point now where even a small sip of a drink with lime will set off a reaction in my throat. It burns very badly. And the hives? My God, the hives! I usually have to remind friends and family when they're trying to make me drinks because it's not a common allergy, and I'm almost always okay. I can't have my favorite drinks anymore when I go out because most places don't have the ability to make me a margarita with lemon instead of lime. Most pre-mix their juices or whatever. Maybe they're lazy and just don't want to do it. Fine, it's not a big deal, but I always ask anyway on the off chance that they can. It's not really just that though. I can't trust people at other restaurants and bars anymore. This person told me she could make a margarita with only lemon. I was super stressed. I can't have sour mix or anything. It must only be lemon. She said it was no problem because they had fresh squeezed juices and it was easy to accommodate me. She used a sweet and sour mix, and when I started drinking it, I took a big sip and could tell immediately when it hit my tongue. She had a smug look on her face until I started reacting right there. My boyfriend raised hell while I was trying to get the reaction to stop. I should have pressed charges, but I didn't because I was younger then and felt like her being fired was enough. I still wonder every so often whether or not she learned her lesson. Story 11. My parents, to an extent. When I was a small child, I stopped breathing when my parents moved me from breast milk to baby milk, cow milk. I stopped breathing and was rushed to the hospital. The doctors told my parents that I was likely lactose intolerant and to just be careful with dairy. My parents continued to feed me dairy. When I was around 18, I was eating so much dairy daily. I was also constantly on the toilet and constantly vomiting. I didn't see the link. I went to the doctors, they did some simple tests. I now avoid dairy, and I am perfectly healthy. My parents still think I exaggerate. It's a classic case of milk 1, parents 0. Story 12. My wife, who is an otherwise supportive and wonderful partner, refused to believe I have an allergy to pistachios. She said it's because I am too nonchalant about diving into a bowl of nuts, then later asking if there are pistachios, but at this point, I kinda just know from a glance if there are. Anyhow, we were at a nice place for lunch with her family and ordered a meat and cheese board. I didn't even consider that a pâté would have pistachios until my second bite, and I saw them. My wife, slightly justified, said, "See, you aren't allergic." 30 minutes later, I was in the emergency center, my entire body broke out, and I had trouble breathing and swallowing, and she was crying. I was trying to calm her down while attempting to swallow and not die, feeling if I did pass, I didn't want her thinking it was her fault. One giant shot in my behind and a very calming nurse helped me out. She later got mad that I didn't carry any EpiPen with me, but she forgets I am a dummy when it comes to that stuff. Story 13. My own father. I'm allergic to mushrooms, and he didn't think that was possible. One weekend day, when I was young, it was my turn to cook dinner. I made bolognese sauce and left it to simmer on the hob while I went out to play with the dogs. While I was out, he secretly cooked a few mushrooms, liquidized them, mixed them into the sauce, then hid all the evidence. You couldn't see them, smell them, or taste them. I ate dinner, and when 2 hours later my guts began to protest, I was so confused. I made the sauce myself. There was nothing bad in it. Everyone else is fine. It wasn't until the next morning, after everyone had to listen to me emptying my entire digestive system all damn night, that he finally admitted what he had done. It felt good listening to my mom shouting at him for hours, and she made him scrub the entire bathroom with a toothbrush once I was finally out of there. Story 14. I had a severe intolerance to oatmeal. Intolerance, not allergy. That means on allergy tests, it doesn't show up, but I can't digest the stuff. One time for my birthday, a friend had kindly made me cookies. She liked to bake and experiment, so knowing that, I asked her if they had oatmeal in them because I couldn't eat oatmeal and couldn't digest it. She thought I was being picky and was just trying to nicely say I didn't like oatmeal cookies, but she wanted me to try her new concoction anyway. Well, I ate a cookie, and it was terrific. About a minute after finishing it though, my stomach started to feel like I'd ingested molten lava. I was doubled over in pain for the rest of the day. I asked her what she put in them, and she sheepishly told me, well, they had a little oatmeal, but it was so little, I didn't think it would matter. I had to cancel all my birthday plans because I couldn't get out of bed to do anything at all. Actually, I put her in charge of canceling so she could let everyone know exactly why I was indisposed. Story 15. I know it's popular to hate gluten-free people right now, but I legitimately can't consume gluten because I have a celiac disease. There's definitely a threshold for my allergy, but I'm not totally sure what the line is. I'm usually fine eating, for example, fries from the same fryer as onion rings, but if I eat an actual piece of bread, I'll get headaches, stomach aches, and probably throw it up. Anyways, the summer after high school, my friend got me a job at this crappy Mexican restaurant she works at. Everything came in bagged or frozen except the green chili, which we made in-house. Every time I start a new restaurant, I make it a habit to learn what allergens are in what dishes because I take that stuff seriously, and I also want to know when I can eat safely. This restaurant had all ingredients and allergens for everything listed in a binder, so I read through it and saw that the chili was actually gluten-free. Every day at work, I would get a plate of rolled chicken enchiladas on corn tortillas smothered in green chili, but after a few days, I started feeling sick. It started with headaches, then stomach cramps so bad I had trouble focusing at work. I messed up orders, had to constantly take breaks, and generally was miserable. In the middle of the night or in the mornings, I would wake up throwing up. But this being the restaurant industry, no one would let me call in sick. Eventually, I threw up in the bathroom while at work, and they sent me home. I was out for 2 days, but I couldn't figure out what made me sick because I'm careful about my groceries, and everything I had eaten at the restaurant was supposed to be gluten-free. When I got back, I was talking to my friend. who, by the way, had not checked up on me at all about how confused I was with the whole thing, and she started laughing. Turns out she didn't believe I had a real allergy and thought it would be funny to prove I was faking it, so she got the cooks to add flour to the chili. Obviously, I was furious. She had essentially poisoned me. And who knows how many other people by adding the flour. What is wrong with people? I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you made it this far, I'm sure you'll also enjoy people who have cut their families off. What was the last straw? Story 5 will make you cringe. See you on that video.